Liars speak in patterns that give them away every single time. When someone wants to trick another person, they use special words and phrases that make their lies sound believable. These words act like warning signs that flash right before the person tells something that is not true. Most people miss these warning signs because they do not know what to listen for. But once someone learns these patterns, they can spot a liar from a mile away. The truth is that dishonest people follow a script without even knowing it. They use the same types of phrases over and over again because these phrases help them feel safe while lying. Think about the last time someone lied to another person. That person probably used at least one of these phrases right before they said something false. The problem is that most people trust words at face value without listening to how those words are arranged. This video breaks down 5 specific phrases that liars use right before they deceive someone. Each phrase has a purpose and a reason why liars choose to use it. By the end of this video, anyone watching will know exactly what to listen for when someone might be trying to trick them. This knowledge can protect relationships, money, and peace of mind. It is crucial not to skip any part of this video because each phrase builds on the last one. To save time, watch this video at 1.5 or 2 times speed instead of jumping around. Every single phrase matters, and skipping even one section means missing a vital warning sign that could help spot deception when it matters most. Let's dive right in. The very first phrase that should make ears perk up is when someone starts a sentence with words like, "to be honest with you," or "I'm not gonna lie," or "let me be straight with you." These words might sound nice and friendly, but there is a sneaky trick hiding inside them. Here is the funny part. When someone actually tells the truth, they do not need to announce that they are about to tell the truth.
Think about it.
When was the last time someone said, "To be honest with you, the sky is blue," or "I'm not gonna lie, water is wet"? It sounds silly because nobody warns others before saying something true. Truth just comes out naturally without any special introduction. But liars know they are about to say something false, so they try to make themselves sound more believable before the lie even leaves their mouth. It is like putting a big shiny bow on a box filled with garbage. The bow looks pretty, but what is inside still stinks. This is phrase number 1 out of the 5 phrases covered in this video. The honesty disclaimer works because it tricks the brain into thinking the person is being extra honest. When someone hears, "to be honest," the brain relaxes and thinks, "Oh good, this person is making sure to tell me the truth." But that is exactly what the liar wants. They are building fake trust right before they break real trust. It is like a thief wearing a police uniform. The uniform makes people feel safe, but the person wearing it has bad plans. Honest people do not need to convince anyone that they are honest because their honesty speaks for itself through their actions over time. When someone has to say they are being honest, it usually means they are not. This phrase pops up everywhere. At work, a co-worker might say, "To be honest with you, I turned in that report on time," when they actually forgot to do it. In relationships, someone might say, "I'm not gonna lie, I was stuck in traffic," when they were really doing something they should not have been doing. In sales, a person might say, "Let me be straight with you, this is the best deal you will find," right before they try to sell something overpriced and useless. Family members use it too when they want to hide something but need to sound trustworthy. The phrase shows up right before the lie because it is the liar's favorite safety blanket. Here is how to spot the difference between real honesty and fake honesty. When someone uses this phrase and their voice gets a little higher or faster, that is a warning sign. When their eyes look away right after they say it, that is another warning sign. When they use this phrase and then immediately follow it with a long explanation or excuse, that is a huge red flag waving in the wind. Real honest people just say what they need to say without the fancy introduction. They do not need to prep anyone for the truth, because truth does not need preparation. Liars use this phrase more than anyone else because it is their go-to tool for seeming credible when they have zero credibility to offer. The phrase does all the heavy lifting so the liar does not have to actually be trustworthy. It is the lazy way to fake honesty, and once anyone knows this pattern, they will hear it everywhere and see right through it every single time. Now, think about a time when someone owed an explanation but somehow wiggled out of giving a clear answer. That frustration felt real because it was real. When people use phrases like, "as far as I remember," or "if I recall correctly," or "to the best of my knowledge," they are building themselves an escape hatch. This is phrase number 2 out of 5. These words create a fog around the truth so thick that nobody can see through it. The person using these phrases knows exactly what they are doing. They are making their statement sound uncertain on purpose so that later, if caught in a lie, they can say, "Well, I said I wasn't sure," or "I told you that was just what I remembered." It is like playing a game where they make up the rules as they go and always make sure they cannot lose. The emotional weight of this phrase hits different because it has probably been used by someone close at some point. Maybe it was about money that was borrowed and never paid back. The person said, "As far as I remember, I gave that back to you," when they knew they never did. Maybe it was about plans that were cancelled. Someone said, "If I recall correctly, we never made solid plans," when both people knew plans were definitely made. Maybe it was about a promise that got broken. The person said, "To the best of my knowledge, I never promised that," when the promise was clear as day. These moments hurt because they make someone question their own memory and reality. That is the goal of this phrase. It is not just about lying. It is about making the other person feel crazy for even asking the question. Real memory problems look completely different. When someone genuinely cannot remember something, they admit it directly. They say, "I don't remember," or "I forgot," without adding all the fancy language. They do not build wiggle room into their sentences because they are not trying to protect themselves from getting caught. They are just being honest about not knowing. But when someone says, "as far as I remember," they are doing something calculated. They are saying just enough to seem helpful while leaving enough space to deny everything later. It is the perfect crime because it feels polite and honest in the moment, but it is actually the opposite. This phrase shows up in the worst moments. During accountability conversations at work when someone messed up but does not want to own it. During financial discussions when someone owes money or spent money they should not have. During alibis when someone needs to explain where they were or what they were doing. The stakes are always high when this phrase appears, and that is not a coincidence. People pull out this phrase when the truth would cost them something. They would rather create confusion than face consequences. The phrase gives them psychological safety because they feel protected by the vagueness. They think the unclear language will save them, and sadly, it often does because most people do not know how to push back against it. But now this pattern is clear, and it becomes impossible not to notice when someone is playing the memory deflection game. It's now time to talk about something that changes everything about how lies are spotted. This is phrase number 3 out of 5, and it might be the most obvious one once it gets pointed out. When someone starts a sentence with "what had happened was," or "let me explain everything," or "the whole story is," buckle up because a novel is coming. Liars believe that more details equal more believability. They think if they pile enough information into their story, it will become impossible to question. But here is what they do not realize. Truth is simple and deception is complicated. When someone tells the truth, they give just enough information to answer the question. When someone lies, they give way too much information that nobody asked for. Picture this. Someone shows up late and says, "I left my house at exactly 7:15, then I stopped to get gas at the station on 5th Street, the one next to the grocery store, not the other one, and the guy at the counter was new, so he took forever. Then I got back in my car and realized I forgot my phone, so I had to go back inside. And then traffic was terrible because of construction near the bridge." That explanation for being 10 minutes late is absolutely wild. A person telling the truth would just say, "Sorry, traffic was bad," or "I got delayed at the gas station." The excessive detail is a massive red flag because the person is trying to make their lie sound more real by adding layers to it. They are building a fake world with fake details, hoping it will feel solid enough to pass as truth. This happens all the time with excuses. Someone explains why they could not finish their work by naming every tiny obstacle that got in their way, including things that have nothing to do with the actual task. Someone justifies why they could not pay back money by telling a long story about their entire financial situation going back months. Someone explains why they were somewhere they should not have been by describing their whole day, minute by minute. The excess is the tell. Guilty people feel nervous, and nervous people talk too much. They fill silence because silence feels dangerous. They add names and places and times that do not matter because they think it makes them look detailed and organized. But it actually makes them look panicked and dishonest. Here is the difference that matters. Truthful people do not over-explain because they have nothing to hide. They answer the question and stop talking. They do not feel the need to justify every little thing because their story is real, and they know it. They are comfortable with gaps in the conversation. They are fine with silence. Liars cannot handle any of that. They need to control the narrative by flooding it with information. They throw in irrelevant facts hoping something will stick and make them seem credible. They mention specific times like 3:45 instead of just saying afternoon because they think precision equals truth. But precision in the wrong places actually equals deception. Once this pattern becomes clear, it is everywhere. The person who explains too much is the person who has something to hide, and their own words give them away every single time without fail. Now, this next phrase is not just sneaky. It is powerful, manipulative, and designed to make someone feel terrible for even asking a question. This is phrase number 4 out of 5, and it is a lesson that must be learned and remembered forever. When someone responds to a question with, "Why would I lie about that?" or "What reason would I have to lie?" or "Do you really think I would do that?" they are not answering the question. They are attacking the person who asked it. Instead of giving a straight answer like an honest person would, they flip the whole situation and make the questioner feel like the bad guy. This is manipulation at its finest, and it works because most people do not want to seem suspicious or mean. So they back down, apologize, and drop the question even though their gut was screaming that something was wrong. The pain this phrase causes runs deep. Imagine questioning someone about something that felt off, only to have them turn it around and make it seem like asking the question was the real problem. That is what this phrase does. It shifts all the attention away from their behavior and puts it on the person who dared to ask. Suddenly, the conversation is not about what they did or did not do. It is about why the questioner does not trust them. It becomes about how hurtful it is that someone would even suggest they are lying. The real issue gets buried under guilt and shame that does not belong to the person asking the question. This is how liars win. They make others feel so bad for questioning them that nobody ever questions them again. And that is exactly what they want. Here is what makes this phrase so dangerous. It works in relationships when someone asks where a partner was and gets hit with, "Do you really think I would cheat on you?" instead of a simple answer. It works in workplace situations when someone asks about a missed deadline and hears, "Why would I lie about finishing it?" instead of an explanation. It works in family dynamics when someone asks about borrowed money and gets, "What reason would I have to lie to you?" instead of the truth. Every single time, the deflection protects the liar and punishes the honest person for trying to get clarity. The psychology behind this is pure defense. Dishonest people know they cannot win with facts, so they win with emotions. They make the other person feel guilty, unreasonable, paranoid, or cruel. They play the victim even though they are the one in the wrong. The difference between real hurt and fake deflection is clear once someone knows what to look for. A person who is genuinely hurt by a false accusation will still answer the question. They might express that they feel hurt, but they will also provide the information needed to clear things up because they want the truth to come out. A person using deflection will never answer the question. They will keep circling back to how offended they are. How dare anyone doubt them? how this is really about trust issues, anything except the actual answer. They avoid giving direct responses because direct responses would expose their lies. They use emotion as a weapon and guilt as a shield. Honest people do not need those tools because they have nothing to hide. They just tell the truth and let it speak for itself. This phrase is a massive warning sign that should never be ignored, and anyone who uses it regularly is someone who cannot be trusted with anything important. Now, I need you to take a second and think about promises that were made in the past. Not small promises, but big dramatic ones where someone swore on their life or promised on everything they love or said things like, "I swear to God," or "I swear on my mother's grave." Now think about how many of those promises actually got kept. This is phrase number 5 out of 5, and it reveals something critical about how liars operate. When someone feels the need to swear on sacred things or make dramatic oaths, they are not being extra honest. They are being extra dishonest and trying to cover it up with intensity. The bigger the promise, the bigger the lie usually is. Honest people do not need to invoke God, family members, or their own life to make someone believe them. Their history of keeping their word does all the talking for them. The unnecessary oath is compensation. When someone has no real credibility, they try to borrow credibility from things that matter. They think that by attaching their statement to something sacred or deeply important, it will automatically become believable. But it does not work that way. Saying, "I swear on my life," does not make a lie true. It just makes it a lie wrapped in something holy. This shows up in so many situations. Someone denies doing something wrong and says, "I swear to God I didn't do it," when they absolutely did it. Someone makes a promise they have no intention of keeping and adds, "I promise you on everything I love," to make it sound serious. Someone tries to convince another person of something false and throws in, "I swear on my mother's life," as if that changes reality. It does not. All it does is show that the person knows they are not believable on their own, so they are desperately trying to sound more convincing. Think about people who have always been trustworthy. They do not make dramatic promises. They just do what they say they will do, and over time that builds real trust. Their word becomes valuable because it has been proven again and again. They do not need to swear or make oaths because their track record is the oath. But liars do not have that track record. They have a history of broken promises and half-truths, so they try to make up for it with dramatic language. They think volume and intensity can replace reliability. They are wrong, but they keep trying because sometimes it works on people who do not know any better. The manipulation here is in using things that matter to people, like faith or family, to make a lie seem more important than it is. It is emotional manipulation dressed up as sincerity. The warning signs for false oaths are everywhere once they are pointed out. When someone uses these phrases often, especially in situations where a simple yes or no would work fine, that is a problem. When someone only makes these dramatic promises when they are being questioned or doubted, that is another problem. When someone has a pattern of swearing on things and then not following through, that is the biggest problem of all. Real promises do not need decoration. They are simple, clear, and backed up by action. Fake promises need all the extra language because there is no substance behind them. When someone says, "I swear," instead of just being honest, they are showing exactly who they are. They are someone who uses oaths as a substitute for actual trustworthy behavior, and that is not someone anyone should believe or rely on for anything that matters. 5 phrases just got exposed. The honesty disclaimers that announce lies before they happen. The memory deflections that create escape routes. The excessive details that reveal guilt. The deflections and reversals that weaponize questions. The unnecessary oaths that substitute drama for truth. These are not random patterns. These are the tools liars use every single day to trick people, and now those tools are powerless because they have been seen for exactly what they are. This knowledge is protection. It is not about walking around suspicious of everyone. It is about trusting that feeling in the gut when something sounds wrong, because now there is proof that the feeling was right all along. Not everyone who uses these phrases is lying, but these phrases are red flags that deserve attention. Patterns matter more than single moments. When someone uses one of these phrases once, it might be nothing. When someone uses all of them regularly, that is everything. This information protects relationships by helping spot dishonesty before it causes damage. It protects money by revealing when someone is trying to scam or manipulate. It protects peace of mind by confirming that instincts were correct. Combine these phrases with body language, with context, with patterns of behavior, and the picture becomes crystal clear. Set boundaries with people who consistently use these phrases because they have shown who they are through their own words. Here is the truth that cannot be ignored. After watching this video, going back to being blind to these patterns would be foolish. Ignoring these red flags after learning them would be choosing to be deceived. The information is here. The power is here. Use it wisely and use it fairly, but actually use it. Speaking of using knowledge wisely, the video popping up on the screen right now was chosen specifically by the algorithm because it knows exactly what information is needed next. That video is not random. It is the perfect next step, so click on it and keep learning, keep growing, and keep protecting what matters most.